want to live with intention and cultivate the traits that I value most. When reflecting on this, I decided the characteristic that I find most important is kindness. With that intention in mind, I asked myself, how could I create more kindness in the world? I could start by being more kind in my daily interactions with other people. However, I also really value effectiveness, so I wanted to find out what I could do to do the most good. The Dalai Lama often states, "My religion is kindness." Exploring that message further, I stumbled upon the work of the Dalai Lama's French interpreter, Mathieu Ricard. Ricard is a Buddhist monk who has written a great deal on kindness, altruism, and compassion. His work centers on the concept of altruistic love. Ricard says, altruistic love is characterized by unconditional kindness towards all beings. He goes on to define compassion as the form altruistic love takes when confronted with others' sufferings. Buddhist teachings state that compassion is the wish that all beings be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. This aspiration should be followed by putting every method possible into action to remedy those sufferings. My takeaway was that compassion is not a passive quality. It requires action in the form of pursuing ways to reduce or eradicate suffering. After learning this, it was clear to me that I didn't want to just cultivate kindness. I wanted to act out my kindness by being more compassionate, which means actively working to reduce the suffering of others. There's a great deal of suffering in the world, so I asked myself, where can I focus my efforts to be most effective? I set off to do more research, and my findings ultimately led me to my current career. One of the most concentrated forms of suffering by sheer numbers is undoubtedly factory farming. Over 9 billion land animals are raised and killed for food each year in our country alone. 99% of the animals that we eat were raised on factory farms. The conditions these animals are forced to endure in massive industrial-scale facilities ensure that the vast majority of those 9 billion beings will never experience a glimmer of joy from the moment of their birth to the moment of their death. That is because factory farms operate to maximize profit while minimize costs, meaning cheap meat is subsidized by the suffering of the animals that we eat. The life of a factory-farmed animal is one of confinement, overcrowding, neglect, and constant stress. They're violently handled and slaughtered in a cruel, mechanized system. We would find it utterly unbearable if we had to watch one of our companion animals killed alongside a chicken in a factory farm slaughterhouse by way of standard slaughter methods that kill millions of animals each day. The enormous suffering these animals endure is caused by human self-interest. That means we have the power to change this system. Working to address the issues caused by factory farming could contribute to reducing the largest amount of suffering for the largest number of present and near future sentient creatures. It's true that farmed animals are not humans. But as Peter Singer once said, all arguments to prove man's superiority cannot shatter this hard fact. In suffering, animals are our equals. If I want to act compassionately, I think being a voice for farmed animals is an effective use of my time. As one of the few people employed to advocate on behalf of animals raised for food, I want to develop my public speaking abilities to ensure I'm an effective voice for each of those individuals. That's what brought me to Toastmasters. I'll close with a quote from the documentary Earthlings, which so aptly states, "It takes nothing away from a human to be kind to an animal." Thank you.